Welcome to the Neil's Homestead, and today we're going to try to show you what we're going to do concerning planting our onions this year. We're going to kind of run an experiment to some degree, but I hope it's not an unexpected result. This year we're going to plant about 2/3 of our onions in two of our greenhouses, which we won't be using otherwise since we're not going to the Kansas City market. I have pulled the grass and the weeds out of these two and taken them out. We're going to burn them. I never want to compost grass or weeds because I'm just asking for a lot of extra seeds to contend with. I pulled them out and I've tilled the ground, and then we're going to put rows in it. And we're going to put a row every 12 inches all the way across, and then we will put a water line every 4 feet all the way across. Then on the rows we will plant the plants every 1/6 in each row. And each row is going to run 90 feet or a little better long. So at 90 feet that's 180 plants in each row. I think that will work very well, but we've never done it, so this year we're going to run a test on it and see if it does work well. Because one thing, planting in here, we've got control of the weather pretty well. We won't have a lot of cold rain, or a whole bunch of it anyway. And the cold temperature, we can close it up to where it won't affect it so much. Last year we basically lost all our onions because after we planted them, it just continued raining and cold weather, and it didn't leave us much in the way of onions. We're going to receive our onions on the 13th, and so we got to be ready to start planting on the 14th. So that's what my mission is right now, is to get these two buildings ready to go. You know, planting this many onions, we'll have all we can possibly use for 3 of our families. And then any excess we have we'll sell at the Amish produce auction, which is only about 10 or 12 miles away from us. And so that's our plans for the onions. We're coming into our greenhouse number 4, to where I'm cutting the water lines to length this year. Normally I cut them outside, where I can just roll out the spool and cut them. But this year we're muddy and snowy, and I have an area in here where we have tomatoes, or will have tomatoes, that is working out much better than playing around in the mud and the snow. I put my measuring tape down because I want to have each strand of our water line around 92 feet long. And so I'll just roll a big roll of water line out to that length and cut it off. And it's much easier in here. This is our Roble water line, which normally we use on our plastic layer when we do it out in the field. It comes in length of 7,000 feet, and so it's pretty heavy. To unroll the tape, I've got to fasten it down on this end and secure it so it doesn't pull loose while I unroll it. I've got a string go through the center of it to roll it by, but right now I've got to take the slack out of our line. I'll just roll this down to the other end of the tape and cut it off. Now we can cut it in two and we're ready to go to the other house and put it in the ground. It's very chilly outside and windy, but when you get in the greenhouse, it's warm. In fact, it gets very warm, so I got to take my shirt off in there to do any work. Okay, I'm putting 5 water lines in this building, and there will be, I think, 18 rows of onions. So, in order to get my water lines straight, I need to stretch a string before I dig my ditch. So I've got posts or stakes set at each end so I can mark out my water line. And then I have to dig a ditch to bury the water line. And I always bury my water lines with the drip side down, because if you put the drip side up, when you turn the pressure on, where the water comes out, first thing you know, it's squirting right up through the dirt and running out the side and not going in the ground like you want it to. So, stretch this out. The string I had for my marker line just barely made it, but it did. I have my string line good and tight, and now I have to dig a trench along the side of it to bury my water line in. My soil is in good enough condition that it isn't too difficult to dig. After I dig the ditch for the water line, I have to cover it up. And to do that, with my left hand I hold it down like so and put the dirt over it. And then I hold this end and push down with my left hand to keep it in the bottom and smooth it out. And then I just cover it up. Usually get about 4 feet at a time. Okay, I have 2 more lines to put down in this building. Then I have 3 water lines in the next building. And then the next time you see us, we will have onions to plant.
We got 5 cases of onions like these right here. There are bunches of onions in there. I think maybe, let me see if it tells on here. Well, we got the onions in and we got them planted, and we didn't even show you any part of planting them. It was such a job because we have to bend over or get down on the ground the whole way, plant little onion by onion plant, and it was just like I couldn't deal with trying to video it at the same time. But I'll show you what it looks like. We marked off row by row with stakes and strings, as you can see right there. And then I walked down and mostly did 2 rows at a time, standing on my feet and bending over. Now, old guy, he needed to crawl around on the ground and plant the ones that he did, which I can't do, and he can't do it the way I do it, so. At this point, I am very sore. I'm almost as sore as I was when I came back home about 6 or so years ago from the Grand Canyon, when I walked down there and came all the way back up. And I'll get over it in a couple days, but I'm sure I'm glad it's done. We still have almost 2 cases left, and we'll need to put those in the ground because we don't have any more room inside to put them. But it's been such a wet spring and a wet winter that the ground is not fit to plant in it at all. And usually every year we are able to have a little bit of time toward the end of February where we can actually go out and work the ground. And there's a little guy behind there running his tractor while I'm trying to do a video. So we'll have to wait a little bit, set these 2 cases aside and wait a little bit till it gets dry enough to work the ground and plant them out in the field. For now, we've got more than 3 cases planted, and we're giving them a good start. And I think since we're early and we can get out and everybody else, our competition, can't, that we might get the best prices at the auction this year. At least at first. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.